Welcome to the Manufacturer and Business Associations, The Power of Empathy for Employee Motivation membership briefing. My name is Patty Welther, and I'm on staff here at the association. Now, we have been offering these briefings on a monthly basis, different topics, to both our members and those considering membership, and we do welcome you today. Now, before I get started, I would like to remind everyone that your microphones are muted. If you do have a question, please feel free to either ask it in the chat box or raise your hand. Both of those things are located in the top of your screen on your Teams screen. We are also recording today's webinar, so if you have a colleague who would like to watch the recording or you have to pop out early, just let us know and we will get you a copy of it. Now, if you've participated in the engagement briefings in the past, you know that I typically go over some membership benefits prior to the beginning of the briefing. Today, I'm going to focus on our insurance department. Now, the MBA is very well known for our group insurance plans. In fact, you're probably not going to find lower rates anywhere. We offer discounted dental, vision, life, and disability. Now, for example, the Delta Dental has held their rates for 8+ years, and they have 6 different programs. VBA, which is the vision coverage, they offer programs starting at just $348 per employee per month. And our life insurance plans, there's no medical underwriting, and your group can be as low as 2. We work with all brokers and all agencies, and we also have our own independent agency who are here to answer any questions that you might have regarding your insurance needs. I'd like to focus just real quickly on our newest program. It is the Medicare Enrollment Service. It's free for members, and this is great if you have employees nearing the age of 65 years. Our Medicare specialist will meet the employees, compare if their out-of-pocket cost would be lower if they went on to Medicare versus the company plan, and they take care of enrollment from start to finish for those employees. Now, please feel free to contact us for any of these exclusive insurance programs. Today's presenter is Lisa DiFilippo. She is our Senior Professional Development Trainer from our training department of 4 full-time trainers and 10 contract trainers. She is one of the trainers who teaches a lot of our supervisory and leadership classes. So Lisa teaches the Supervisory Skills Series and the Team Leader Certificate Series programs. She does that at our conference center in Erie. She also does it regionally and also on site for member companies. Oftentimes member companies ask her to do a specific training for their company on site, and she also develops curriculum for specific type trainings that are geared just for that employer. Now, Lisa was initially hired over 15 years ago as the food safety certification instructor. She has a background in food safety. So she also teaches the food safety classes, and she, for me at least, is a great resource to ask any food safety questions that I might have. And now, without further ado, here is Lisa and the presentation.
Okay, hello. I am really glad that to see all of you and to get this chance that we're all going to talk together today about one of my favorite words because of what it represents, and it's empathy. And so on a regular basis, hopefully, we are all using empathy in our day-to-day communications with anyone and everyone. But there comes a time, and all of you are most likely in this position or getting ready for this position, when you end up needing to really have empathy and perspective take front and center for you, and it would be right about here. You got promoted, so yes, it gets complicated. And the complication comes from the fact that you did your job very well. And so this leadership position was decided because you were so capable. And they said, well, why don't you go ahead and lead the other people that do your job? But you're not going to do so much of your job anymore, and maybe even none of it that you used to do. I mean, I know a lot of people say they're working supervisors, which is always kind of funny to me because I go, well, where's that not working supervisor job? I'll have to volunteer for that one. But they're working supervisors. So I know what you mean. You still do a lot of that job, but yet you still have that I'm responsible for what everybody else does aspect of your job now. And so that's your leadership role. How well do they do? Are they great? Then you're great. Are they fabulous, outstanding, productive as each and every one of them can be? They're at their best. Each of them is at their own best. Well, that's all about you now. And when they're that way, then you are doing your best job as a leader. So my favorite person that talks about leadership, and any of you, I recommend look up Simon. Okay. TED Talks, anything and everything else. And Simon says what I'm sure you agree is a fabulous quote that I stole from him and I continue to use. And it says it, you're reading it. Leadership isn't about taking charge. It's about taking care of people in our charge. And you go, wait a minute. No, they said you're the leader, you're the manager, you're the supervisor. You make sure everything happens. So you're in charge of all those people. Yeah. But that would be like us saying that I just tell people what to do and they do it. So it's all working out great. Well, what we want to do is really take good care of those people, giving them that information. Yeah, I tell them what to do, as in I'm giving them the information and clear expectations. Yes, you definitely are there, but taking care of the people so that they can accept that information. They want to do that job. They are empowered to feel like it's their opportunity to do a great job at work. And you are definitely helping. And without you there, it is much more difficult. So you are there, right? Now, there's many things that we do in that position, and one of them front and center now. And as you see, and I hope some of you noticed, do you see how it says empathy and perspective takes, right? You go, well, that should be empathy and perspective. They take. No, I put takes, okay? Because empathy and perspective, it's like one thing. It takes front and center. It is really important for you at this point. Now, I know, and I've had people in class that say this is how they feel. Yeah, congratulations on your new job and the short window of time before you can start crying in the bathroom again. Okay. I read this, I laughed. I said, come on, I know a lot of you, a lot of everybody, we can feel this way, that we go, oh no, now it is me. They do poorly. The company looks at me. They do well. The company also looks at me. So we really want our folks to do well. I was teaching a class out of town, so we do 2 days in a row. And at the end of the day, for first day, I said, we'll see you, see everybody tomorrow, right? And one person in class said, yeah, not if McDonald's is hiring. So we were all like, what? And they said, no, I think I'd rather just go ahead and work the window at McDonald's than I didn't realize what I was signing on for, this job, and it just seemed very overwhelming to them on that first day. And no, come back. There were other people in class that were more seasoned managers. No, it'll be okay. So she came back, of course. She completed the whole series, of course, and, is doing well. But it does seem like you might need to go cry in the bathroom. But, you'll come back and you'll be just going, okay, this is complicated, but I can do it. It is doable, right? It's doable, and we need to focus on some very important aspects of doing that job. So, McGregor, okay, he came up, he worked at the MIT Sloan School of Management, and years ago, 50s and 60s, and he said, here's a good manager. A good manager is a good situational manager, and they're a little bit more Y theory most of the time. And what are these two theories made up of? Well, you can see that X theory managers They are, looking for um, and implicating these things, control, decision making, move it forward. They're very autocratic. It's just about what I say, what I do. I'm the boss. They put me in charge, so here I go. And oddly enough, he said this is based on the fact that those managers think that employees don't really want to work, and so it's their job to force them with their control, with all these things, right? And so if you say, oh, I keep hitting that different button. I don't want to hit that button. If you say that that's more of a Y theory trait to be empathetic, and that's really not me because I am more X. I'm a good decision maker. I take control. I move things forward. Those are all good things. But the Y theory just may naturally be more of the person who kind of has the empathy and says, I do care. I do want to interact. I'm interested in your input in making a decision involving everybody. And what's interesting is that McGregor found out that that's great. And that's a good situational manager. And you're a little more Y most of the time. But you can't be all Y either. Right? You can imagine a Y theory manager that just says, I don't know, how do you feel? What do you think? How's that? Oh, I don't want to make that decision. That not everyone will like that. You could see that that wouldn't be effective all the time either, right? Always Y, not so good. Always X, not so good. It's kind of like anything that we talk about, too much of a thing, right? Too much of a good thing, but too much, it's too much. So a good situational manager is a little more Y and still can do the good X theory things. And that includes discipline, things like that. And things that aren't, we hope we don't have to get involved in. Our goal is to not even be dealing with that because we have all these great employees, right? I know most of you are there already. All right, so here we go. That's empathy seems like a Y theory, and I'm not so Y. Well, you may or may not be. Empathy can be learned. It's a trait that maybe you just naturally have, but everybody still learns how to really use it well, or you learn to use it for the first time and how to use it well. So X or Y, everybody needs to get into the empathy. What about this? Oh, that's kind of a female thing, caring, listening, going, oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, we can adjust that so it makes you happy. Maybe you go, that's more of a female trait. Whether you're a male or a female, I don't really have that trait, so never mind. Again, empathy can be learned. Here you go. We all kind of just judge our employees, right? We go, well, that one seems motivated and that one seems not. I don't see what the big, with empathy, what's that have to do with these things? I'm glad when I have these motivated employees and Bill is, and Susan is, and then we got Ed over here. No amount of talking is going to do anything with Ed. That's the way he is. We deal with it. And no, empathy has a lot to do with it. It's the communicating, it's the perspective. It's why doesn't he seem to be motivated? Wonder what it is. And that's how we're going to work through that and find that out and maybe hit it on the head and maybe be able to take care of just that issue with the motivation. Because, we certainly don't want to do well, that person's not that motivated. Let's just replace them. And I know that you're all sitting there going, yeah, replace them with who? Because of, it is sort of an atmosphere of, yeah, we aren't having a lot. It's on the news that people were hiring and, Perkins can't find people to open their store again in Edinburgh. We're having some trouble finding some employees, aren't we? So, oh, I just got a little sign up on my screen. Okay, sorry. I had to read that. Here's the thing. We don't want to use this concept that I know I've talked about before and you've heard about in my classes, and they call it EBO, your expectations. Then your behavior has to do with the outcome of this employee's ability to do the great job. And somehow Noah got up on the screen. Okay, I have to take control again. There we go. So There we are. And those expectations, like I said, we can be very obvious with our behavior towards somebody that we have expectations of. They're either motivated or they're not. So our motivated employees, we expect a lot from them, and our behavior is great. We give them good things to do. If there's a little slow down in their work or some mistakes, we go, oh, no, no, that's okay. I understand. Here, let me work with you. I can help you through that. I know you can do it. Our not motivated employees, we go, oh, that's all right. Just leave them alone. We can't get much more out of them. That's your low expectations equaling your low and not really helpful behavior, and you continue to get that low outcome. Well, no, we don't want to stick with that negative side. We want to go positive expectations, positive behavior that's definitely going to include your empathy and your perspective taking and your good communication. Maybe we're going to be better with that positive outcome, right? So enter Noah. And Noah has a lot to do with Simon, again, Simon Sinek. I stole his story shamelessly from Simon, and I'm just going to go ahead because I love it. Okay. And the story I have is about, now this isn't really Noah, I just got this picture, but there's a real Noah. And Noah worked at a coffee shop, and Simon was in Las Vegas doing a big presentation like he does all over. And he went to get coffee, and Noah was fabulous, fabulous customer service. When he said, how are you doing today, sir? Are you having a good day? You know, eye contact, the real story. He really cared if this customer was having a good day. He really wanted to give him exactly the coffee that he wanted that day. And you know what I'm talking about. You know this great customer service because you say that person is really that person. Or you know the person that's just going through the motions. And you know somebody told them to say, have a nice day every time somebody's walking away. And they're just saying it because they're supposed to, right? So this wasn't Noah. Noah was everything. And Simon said, yeah, this is kind of my job to understand people and employees. And so I have to ask you questions, Noah. You're great. Why? What makes you love this job and really be doing this job the way you do it? And you know what his answer is. He said, management. My manager comes by not to check on me, talk to see how I'm doing, right? The check on me seems like I'm checking on your work. It's the check on me to see how I am. You know, what's going on today, all those great things. If there is something work related that my manager can help me with, then yeah, they'll help me right then because they came around. They're very positive. They're very appreciative. They genuinely like me as an employee. I genuinely like them. And he said, but let me tell you what, mister, that's asking me these questions. I do work at another casino at their coffee shop. And it's, you know, it's just part-time over there too. And he said, but boy, what a different atmosphere. And he said, truly, I've never had any customer say anything nice to me like you know, like you say, and how people interact over here. And he said, and I know what it is. It's me. I'm different. And he said, why I'm different? The management is different. They don't care. It's really hard for me to care. I mean, I do all the normal things because that's the kind of person I am. But I'm just kind of getting through the day, and I am getting that extra paycheck, which is why I got that extra job. It's kind of why I'm there. And how can that same human react one way at this job, one way at the other? It's the environment, it's the expectations, it's their bosses. Okay. So we know with that example and many I'm sure that you have on your own, that really does make a difference. Same person, different action. Another myth about why we think empathy doesn't seem to fit in the workplace. What, I got to lay people down on the couch like I'm a psychiatrist and go through this? Like, that's too personal. I'm not going to ask, how are you feeling? What's happening? What's going on in your personal life? What's the deal? And take the time. Okay, let's not forget about it, the time for that. I don't have that kind of time. Every employee I have to talk to, listen to. I don't want to get into their personal life. I don't want to get into those kinds of things. We're at work. And you're right. I mean, you don't sit somebody down and say, tell me everything. I want to know everything, all about everything. But you'll listen to the extent that, and have hopefully this great relationship where your employees will talk And if they start going down the road of something personal, right, because they're a person, and we go, oh, I want to avoid that. But we need to hear about you as a person. Not details that we shouldn't be talking about, but yeah, it is about their emotions. It is about them as a personal. So that's what we call their personal life. These are these people that come to work for us. Um, so take the time. When we talk about time management in our classes, we say, sometimes it's great to do like an analysis of your time. And you put down the things that you do each day through the day, and go back and analyze it and go, was this chunk of time used for this effective or not? And so I'm definitely sure that you would find that the time you've taken to talk to employees and really listen and really understand their perspective turns out to be very effective use of whatever amount of time that was. And so why does that mean it was effective? Well, because that employee is productive, their attitude is great, they're spreading that great attitude. You know how effective that is for everybody, right? So, got to get the clicker going here. There's still another myth, and we definitely have to talk about this because we figure hopefully we're pretty good. We praise employees. That's the big motivational thing. And I do it. We were in the classes at the MBA, they talked all about praise. They said when we praise people, let's use their name, right? And I see there's names of people that were definitely in class. What were they? Use the name, make it specific, be timely, and if you can praise in public, as in other employees overhear you, it's great because they pick up on that too. And they know that you're appreciative. They know that you care. There it is again, the caring. They know that you pay attention to the good and maybe the not so good. And so praise is a fabulous thing. And you go, great, I praise people. That is motivational. We always talk about praise being motivational. I'm motivating my employees. Yes, it's a great thing, right? Also in class, and then maybe some of you also remember this, I hope, that we always refer to this really great survey where they gave a list of 10 things to bosses at companies and employees at companies, no lead role. Well, I shouldn't say that because you know that anybody can be a leader no matter what their title is, right? But people that didn't have titles, leadership titles, and what they did was it was the same 10 things, and they said list them 1 to 10. What's most motivational to you? Number 1, number 2, all the way down to 10. And when the bosses answered this survey, their number 1 average answer overall was, what do you think? Come on, can you type it in? What do you think bosses said? Anybody ready on their keyboard? That the bosses said, what motivates my people most? The bosses, not the people themselves. Oh, hurry up, somebody put something in the chat. Pay, money, there it is. That's what bosses always think. And yes, everybody likes money. What do you think the employees said? Money was 5 on their list out of 10. It wasn't number 1. What happened was number 1 for employees was praise and appreciation. Let's not forget number 2, feeling in on things. Definitely look at number 3. It was an understanding attitude. So all those top 3 things, where's that going to come from? The caring, the interaction, the communication, the power of empathy with your employees. Bosses answered money, and I sadly think that bosses say that, and it turns out to be that because that's something they don't really have control over. You work here, this is the pay rate, the pay raises come from a decision even higher up than myself. I don't have anything to do with that. So if I have to motivate you with money, I don't have control over the money. But, put that aside. Each and every one of you in a lead position has complete control over praise and appreciation, feeling in on things, getting opinions and giving, good communication, being open. And you have everything to do with that understanding attitude with your employees. And so motivation is up to leaders. And you go, money? No, you can handle all the top 3 things that employees say motivates them. So I'm really glad that you praise, but there's more. Okay, so empathy being the very powerful concept that it is, just like that expectations, very powerful when you show your high expectations of someone. And we don't, all leaders have to realize they really have a big effect on their people on a regular basis at work, really a big effect. So you don't want to minimize that because you have a big effect on that great success too. So that you remember that. But we have to throw definitions in all the time, right? Oh, today's talk is about empathy. Let's look at a definition. Well, that's important. And you can look up all sorts of definitions. This is the way I really like to look at it. And it actually turns out to be 2 parts. It's not just the one thing that we might initially think of. So step 1, first part, when we use empathy, we have this ability to recognize the emotions in others. And what we're doing is helping then to understand that person's perspective. So there it is, empathy and perspective. They go together. I'm trying to get your perspective. How do I get that? Listening and using empathy. I can look at it from your point of view. I need to understand it from your point of view. Doesn't mean it's my point of view. Doesn't mean I would feel the exact same way in the same situation as you are right now. It doesn't mean that at all. But I understand why you think that. I understand why you feel that because we've talked about it enough. And I'm using empathy. I'm going, okay, listen, understand, open up, get it that they feel that way. You know what people usually do, and we've all done it. When somebody goes, yeah, but I don't want to do that because I think that it's this, right? And you say to them, it's not that. Basically you're saying, no, you're wrong. It's not that. The fact that you see it that way or feel that way, nope. Here's how you need to see it. Here's how you need to feel about it. So go ahead, finish that. I mean, without doing it in that manner, I hope. That's pretty much what we're saying. Because you're in charge, you have to tell them this is how it is and this is why. No, that's wrong. This is how it is. This is why. This is what. Okay. So maybe the person goes ahead and does what you need them to do the way you need to do it. That's a short-term effective answer. That's not in the long term. Because if they're still seeing it a different way, they might go, okay, and they're doing it, but they still have that feeling, that view of it, that won't solve that for the long term, right? We have to go, well, why do you feel that way? Where's that coming from? And then your communication has to do with that, which is our second part, right? It enables us to use that insight that we got, right? To improve someone else's mood and support them through whatever's going on with them. And now we communicate back to our people in a way that makes sense to them. Because the way I communicate to Ed is not necessarily the same way I would communicate this issue to Phil, right? Because I understand where Ed's coming from, so there's some things I'm going to mention to him. I understand Phil. I mention different things to him, okay? And then we have a really effective communication, and that's what you need in your lead role, effective communication. One size fits all. I'm pretty sure we all have that figured out. It doesn't work. It would be nice. It would be so nice, but it doesn't. It doesn't seem to work, right? So here we go. We have some good old psychologists that get in on this, and they talk about 3 main components to empathy. So there's the cognitive. So I realize in my brain logically that this is what you're telling me, and you see that. Well, I don't even see that. This is how you feel? I don't feel that way. But I cognitively understand that this is your issue, right? And then I have to realize there's emotions involved with all of us. Maybe me as the manager, and I'm emotional because I go, oh my gosh, this is upsetting me. I need this done. I can't believe that you're putting that spin on it and I have to talk you out of it. And then there's obviously emotions on their side. These things are making them happy, sad, frustrated, irritated. I don't know. We have to realize that there's an emotional aspect to talking and using empathy and communication. And then you have to pull out the compassion side. And, empathy, sometimes we go, yeah, you have to be compassionate. That's being empathetic. And that is one big part of it. All right, I feel for you that you're going through this. Let me help. Okay. But it's not sympathy. And we have to make sure we separate empathy and sympathy. Okay. So let's talk about our next bit of information. And it's going to be our another one of my favorites. I don't know, Simon, Renee, or Brene. I always want to call her Renee. Brene. I don't know. I have to decide who I like listening to more. They're both right up there on the list. So what I'm going to do is get this video up here for you now. And it's going to be Brene giving us a really good look at the difference. Oh, okay. How do you like my screen there, folks? It's going to be the difference between empathy and sympathy. And it's a pretty short video.
So what is empathy and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. Yeah. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Okay. So I just love the way that she presented that. She definitely talks about, oh, I'm just looking for my screen to come back up. All right. The switching, it's just how it goes, because I had to just go ahead and put a video in here, didn't I, Patty?
Yes, but it worked. It worked.
Yay! All right, we are back. So yes, it's the thing, of course, Brene, you get the idea. She talks about, she's very interested in all the women's issues. So, she's talking to a whole group of women. Her examples are things like, oh, your marriage is, or your child, or, things like that. But the examples that we need to use empathy are everyday things. And they don't necessarily have to be a very incredibly painful situation like she spoke about. but there's emotion involved with our folks at work when they're failing at something, or when they just have a very different view of something, and that's why they're acting in a different way, and it's really not conducive to the team work. Whatever it may be, we need to use that empathy to understand, because like we always say, another person's perspective, Brene said it, is their truth. And you can say, no, that's not right. No, to them it is, right? And as a manager, no, it's not right. Just do this because I'm the boss and I say, and don't look at it that way. And this is how we're going to go. Remember, short-term effective right there. So she spoke about a nursing scholar that said there's 4 attributes of empathy. And these are the 4 things we've been talking about. I call it 4 attributes of motivation. Okay, because if you really want to work on motivating someone, get their perspective, get on their side of the wall. We use this graphic in class, and it's like this curved wall. And if you're on this side, you only see a little part of it. But if you're on the other side, you see the whole wall, curve to curve, end to end. So I need to get over there and see the whole wall. What is your perspective? And how do you get that? You ask a bunch of questions, and then you listen. Listening, major skill to work on, just like empathy. What we like to do is formulate our answer while we're listening. Oh yeah, I get where you come from. Okay, but here's my answer. And then, the person might go, well, wait a minute. I don't think you heard everything I said, because your answer doesn't even address most of what they said if you're doing that. And we do that. We think faster than we talk. We think faster than the other person is talking. And so the listening is very rough. I always tell people in my class that my sister, especially with the phones, I'll be talking to her about something, and there's a pause. And I go, what, are you there? Can you hear me now? I do, because we're using the cell phones. And she goes, yeah. And I go, oh, okay, well, you weren't saying anything. And she says, well, yeah, because I was thinking about what you're saying, and then I'm thinking about what good response I'd like to have. Wow, how come she's been doing that for so long? And because it's okay if you don't answer right away. So listen through it, think for a minute, stay out of judgment, right? She said that it's hard to do when people like doing it so much. Yeah, I guess, right? I don't get to judge you for how you feel. I just want to understand how you feel. So maybe I can help you readjust what you're thinking and feeling, and which will really be more conducive to work and the productivity and getting our job done together. I do have to recognize emotions. I've been talking about that as a big part of empathy, is that people have emotions, you have emotions, they have emotions. Communicate that. Make sure that this communication includes, am I correct in saying that you feel this way about it? Or tell me more about how that, what are you feeling with that? What's going on? And get that information. It'll certainly help you. You may not feel that way at all. That's okay. They do. So that's where we're acting from. So let's just talk then about the empathy. Let's go right to just the motivation side and say, okay, motivation. Yeah, some people need it more than others, right? There's, we're going to adjust. Okay. Is anybody seeing the slide?
I'm not, Lisa, I'm going to try to pull it up again. I don't know where it went.
I'll keep talking because I know what I was talking about motivation. And yes, it says some people need it more than others, right? So what we really want to understand there is some need more and some need very different motivation. We start off by saying, okay, I'm motivated by certain things, and that doesn't mean anybody else is, just because we're in a similar job and we work at the same place and we should all be alike. We already know that's not true. And so we try to understand what different individuals, what their motivational buttons are. There's autonomy. So we have employees that are motivated very much by autonomy. They really need to just be basically left alone more times than not. And they get the work done. It's great. If they have a question, they will absolutely come to you. But, needing to check on them, how you doing? Have any questions? Can I help you with that? Isn't what they prefer. So you do very little of that and you see how well they produce. That person is very different from another person that needs, excuse me, affiliation. Some people really like to interact, be with people, work with people, brainstorm about things. That would be me. Okay. I really love to do that more often than not. Don't worry, there's autonomy times that I go, seriously, we could just not talk about this. And I can do it. But there are people that enjoy that. So, gee, maybe they should be trainers. That's kind of the thing that you figure out about what motivates people. Now, there's a general motivation maybe with people, but individually now at individual times, what's happening with this project? What's happening with this piece of material that doesn't seem to be working right? What's going on with this report? Different things are happening, different days, different projects at work, different moods and parts of the person's life that they're going through, and it absolutely comes into work. Well, there you go. We have to get that understanding. This all seems like it's us going to the person all the time and going, hey, what's going on? Which is a great thing to do. Great, fabulous. We also want to think back to, do we have a really good communication and just relationship, a work relationship where our employees feel comfortable to come to us? That's something you've needed to be working on all along. You can work on some of these empathy traits, and you may not have people talking much to you, even though you say, I'm listening, and things like that. And so this is from the beginning, and this is why in our classes, we may have 10 days of classes, but I'll tell you what, we start off by saying, build a relationship. In the beginning, we're talking about empathy, praise, appreciation, right from the start. We're talking about managing by walking around, because we're going to build relationships, talk, interact, be seen, be approachable, because we need to have that to start with, so that an employee will talk to you and it's okay when you go to talk to them. Too many people say, yeah, the only time I see my boss is because something's wrong. So right away the wall goes up. Oh, hi. Well, what's wrong? And there's something, that's why they're coming to them. That something's wrong. And so we don't want to go that way. Right from the beginning, we have to think about the, I don't know. We're just having little clicky issues today. We have to go right back to Simon and say, okay, I'm in this leadership role now. I'm in charge. Okay. Think first about taking care of the people in our charge, and you being in charge and leading, and your success as a leader is going to come from that great success that your employees have under your care. And that's what we have for today. I don't know if there were thoughts, questions, things you'd like to interject. I'd certainly like to hear from anyone that's in the mood for that. But I am going to go ahead and send it back over to Patty, and we'll still stay on for a little bit in case you have any thoughts.
Well, thank you, Lisa. That was fabulous. I always learn something new when I go to one of these training classes. We have the best trainers. We'll just leave it at that. And Lisa is right up there at the top. So thank you. If anyone did hop on a little late, or they want to share this information with, maybe their staff, please reach out to me, and we did record it, so I can send you a copy of the recording. As Lisa has stated, we'll hang out here for just, a couple of minutes. If you have like a private question you wanted to ask her, or you didn't want to raise your hand or ask it in the group chat, we'll hang here for a few minutes. So you're certainly welcome to ask us questions. But our next engagement briefing is going to be Tuesday, May 18th from 9 to 10 o'clock. Our HR department will be presenting it. It's going to be on flexible work arrangements that work. So obviously timely topic today. And if you're interested, please mark it down and sign up. Like these are free. They're free for members. They're free for people considering membership. So if you know companies who you think could benefit and you know they're not a member, please feel free to share the information and the invite with them. And like I said, Lisa and I will hang out here just for a few minutes. But otherwise, the presentation is concluded, and enjoy the rainy day. Guess we need the rain, but thank you, everyone. Have a terrific Thursday.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to see some of you again. I recognize some of the names in
Yeah.
our chat box there. So hope to see you again soon.